Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And here in the month of April, we're going to be talking about an animal. And this animal is an animal that I had not heard of before I was preparing for today's program. Because there are so many members of the cat family. We've got leopards and cheetahs and lions and tigers and pumas and all that kind of stuff. Here's yet another one, Pallas's cat. Have you ever heard of this cat before?
I have not, but I must be honest with our listeners. I hate cats. I really do. I'm very allergic to them, but that's not the reason why I hate them. I just don't find them friendly, Tom. And they shed their fur all over. We work with some people who have cats at home, and when they come in to record with me, I actually can feel that allergy coming up because cat fur just sticks on everybody's clothes, you know?
I don't have a problem with that. And yes, indeed, you kind of have to depend on luck if you have a cat as a pet. Sometimes they're just very independent and they're just not very people-friendly. Sometimes they are. I think that orange cats generally are very friendly, especially if they're male. They'll cuddle with you, they'll purr and stuff like that. Generally speaking, of course, there are exceptions. But I have no idea about Pallas's cat, and I have a feeling this cat is not the kind of cat you want to keep as a pet, but it's a common cat in Central Asia, so that's what we're talking about today. Pallas's cat, a Central Asian wildcat. Let's find out more. From the Caspian Sea to Mongolia and southern Russia, you'll find a special species of wild cat. Pallas's cats, also called manuals, can be identified by their dense fur and flat faces with distinct stripes. Their short, rounded, and low-set ears that are easily hidden can help them both hunt food and hide from danger. Pallas's cats mainly consume pikas, but also eat small rodents, birds, and lizards. A Pallas's cat is about the size of a domestic cat. However, their thick fur makes them appear bigger. This feature keeps them warm in the extremely cold, dry grasslands of Central Asia. Moreover, their fur color changes with the seasons to blend in with the environment. Now there are about 58,000 mature Pallas's cats distributed across their natural territory. While these cats have not yet disappeared, their numbers are decreasing. One reason is illegal hunting of Pallas's cats for their fur. Another is that many countries' governments consider pikas and rodents pests and poison them. This leads to a lack of food for Pallas's cats. Additionally, their habitats are being threatened and destroyed by people adapting the land for farming and mining. Many Pallas's cats are killed by domestic herding dogs as well. Conservation for Pallas's cats has increased in recent years. However, governments and protection organizations must unite in their efforts to protect these endangered creatures.
Okay, guys, let's talk about this Pallas's cat. I took a peek at the picture, and it's kind of a strange-looking animal. Its head kind of looks a little bit like a tiger or a lion, and then he's got this huge fat body. I think, as compared to a regular house cat that, people will have in their homes. But, it's kind of a crazy-looking animal. It's bigger than I thought it would be, Tom. It looks like it's head to body. They say it's up to 26 inches, which is kind of long. And then it's got a really long furry tail, bushy. And if you see that word bushy, it just means lots and lots of hair, and it's kind of all over the place. It's not nice and sleek and combed. It's just really kind of a mess. Some people have bushy beards or bushy hair. You could describe my hair as bushy if I just try to, comb it out, and it's really curly, and so it looks like a big ball. But a guy can have a bushy beard as well if he doesn't trim it.
But again, we're talking about this cat species called Pallas's cat. It's also called a manual, and it lives in Central Asia. Now, from the Caspian Sea to Mongolia and southern Russia, you'll find a special species of wild cat. The Caspian Sea, of course, is in Asia. It's kind of in Western Asia there. And so if you go there, you can start to move across Asia, move eastward, and then you get to Mongolia. And so you move from the Caspian Sea in the west to Mongolia in the east, and this is the range of the wild cat here called Pallas's cat. You'll also find it in southern Russia. And Pallas's cats, also called manuals, can be identified by their dense fur and flat faces with distinct stripes. So indeed, we're describing this cat as having dense fur. This is how you identify this particular animal. So here we've got the verb to identify. That just means that's how you tell what it is. When you look at it, you look for special features, and then you can identify it. Aha! It's got all these features. It's got dense fur, flat faces, distinct stripes. So therefore, I can identify it as Pallas's cat.
Right. We use identify, as you all know, when we talk about our identification or our cards with our pictures and numbers that are assigned to us by the government. That's identification or a piece of identification. They'll often ask you, if you're in America, do you have several pieces or 2 pieces of identification with your name and address on it? So these are really strange cats. I think you kind of answered my question, Tom, about where this cat came from. But why does it have such a strange name? Well, for some of these animals that have been discovered, the person who discovers them or seems to be the first one to see them and report on them, they often get the honor of giving their own name to this animal. And the guy who first described this cat was called Peter Simon Pallas back in 1776. And so he named this cat his own name, Pallas's cat.
Sometimes we get these Western conservationists who discover animal species and therefore they give the name to that person. But in any case here, they're also called manuals, and their special characteristics, again, are their dense fur, flat faces, and distinct stripes. If something's distinct, it's unique and it's special. Like the stripes of different animals can be unique to that animal. Like tigers have distinctive stripes, or, lions have that distinct mane on their heads. No other animal has that. So, of course, these stripes are unique to this particular cat.
Right. And if it is distinct or distinctive, it's very clear what you're looking at. You're not just looking at something that can be mistaken for something else. It's very identifiable. It's very distinct or distinctive. So if you see a cat with a kind of a flat face and a very bushy tail and body, you're probably looking at one of these very unusual Pallas's cats. So these cats mainly eat another animal that I didn't know existed called the pika or the pika. You can pronounce it either way. These cats can hide themselves and then hunt for their food and hide from danger because of this. The stripes kind of blend in with their background, you could say. So these pikas or pikas, which look like little rodents, they're actually cuter than gerbils, I think. Look them up and see what they look like. They actually hunt after this little rodent, but they also eat smaller types of rodents, maybe a mouse or something even smaller. Birds. Our cat loved to hunt for birds. And if a bird fell from the sky, wow, our cat was after it and would eat it and then leave us the carcass on our doorstep as if we wanted it.
How generous.
I know.
But yes, rodents are creatures like rats or squirrels and hamsters and stuff like that. And, of course, we know what birds are. And lizards, of course, are a kind of reptile. Now, a Pallas's cat is about the size of a domestic cat, which are the cats that people keep in their homes. Domestic means of your home. Like in Taipei, we have the domestic airport, the airport for Taiwan only. However, their thick fur makes them appear bigger. So they're about the size of a normal cat that you have at home, but it's got this thick fur that is bushy, and so this fur makes these cats look bigger than they really are.
Yeah, that's what fur does for you, though, right? If you go and get your cat or your dog groomed and it gets a haircut, as we say, they come away looking a lot thinner because a lot of that fur is gone. So their fur does make them appear bigger. They're not so big if you just grab their bodies. And this feature keeps them warm in the extremely cold, dry grasslands of Central Asia. Yeah, they're native to an area of the world that is quite cold in the winter. So thank goodness they have all that nice fur. Moreover, their fur color changes with the seasons to blend in with the environment. Now, this is a very special attribute. Most cats' fur, it doesn't change based on the seasons. This is pretty cool. It's kind of like those lizards, what do you call those?
Chameleons.
Chameleons, yeah. They change based on their background. Sometimes they'll look like a rock that they're near. Sometimes they look more green because they blend in with a plant.
Exactly. So this is their kind of camouflage, which keeps them hidden so predators can't find them. Or, of course, the prey that they're going after won't see them before it's too late. Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson for today. Let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天来带大家看一个很特别的动物哦，叫做兔狲。Pallas cat， 不过这个兔狲不是兔子，可它看起来真的好像兔子，也好像猫哦。它是一种野生猫啊 ，wild cat。那它出现在哪里呢？从第一段的第一句，我们看到，其实它分布在里海到蒙古跟南俄罗斯这个地方。当然，它是一种很特殊的野生猫啦。那我们可以透过它浓厚的皮毛，然后还有一个明显的这种条纹，它脸都扁平的，用这种外观的方式来做一个辨识。那么我们看到的第三句要特别注意一下，因为文章当中第三句啊，他们讲到说这个野生猫啊，其实短短圆圆的，这个耳朵啊，其实是隐藏性的，位置也比较低，所以这样子的一个特征就可以帮助它们猎食以及躲避危险。我们要先看一下第三句，因为第三句有一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词就是前面主词的 their short, rounded and low set ears， 所以耳朵位置低啊，而且又短又圆。重点是还有一个特色，这个耳朵呢是很容易被隐藏起来。所以后面的 that 一直到 hidden 的所谓的 that 呢，是一个关代，它是限定用法的关系子句。而这种容易隐藏的这样子特征的耳朵，就可以帮助他们躲避危险。不过接下来的第四句就出现我们第一题的克漏字咯，到底4个动词可能哪一个会比较适合呢？其实真正的关键就在于这句话当中逗点之后有But also eat， 同样也会吃其他的小型啮齿动物啊，鸟类跟蜥蜴。所以回过头来，在整句话当中，我们看到的是 Pallas cats 主要吃的是 Pallas， 当然主要吃鼠兔这种东西，但也会吃其他的小动物。所以第一格应该要选一个跟吃有关的这个动词，只有 A 的 consume。不管你是吃、喝、消耗能源、用纸、用瓦斯，都可以用这个字 consume。好，那么接下来的第二题呢，也很妙，因为这题目出的也很好，你必须要把第6句话看懂之后呢，才知道第5句话第2题应该要选哪一个关键字。那我们看一下第5句话，在这里因为提到 Pallas cat 差不多是一个家猫 domestic cat 的什么呢？第6句，然而它们这个浓厚的皮毛啊，会让它们看起来好像比较大只一点 appear bigger， 所以第6句承接着第5句的文意，因为皮毛浓厚看起来大只，言下之意就是第5句话提到的是有关于兔狲它的尺寸差不多像家猫那样，可是因为这个皮毛太发了，所以看起来好像比较大。第2题当然根据上下文的文意呢，就是选 B size 这个答案。那么接下来我们看到第3题，因为在第1段的第8句特别有提到，根据季节的变化，它们的毛皮的颜色会有所改变，就会跟环境如何呢？在第3题这个地方，原本的句子当中出现的关键字 change， 既然颜色会随着季节而改变的话，言下之意就是要跟环境融为一体，所以第3题的答案选 D blend in with。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about a very unique cat out there, and you'll find it in Central Asia if you're ever over in that neighborhood. It's kind of a crazy-looking cat. It has kind of a smashed, flat kind of face with a body that's pretty similar to domestic cats, but its fur is really bushy. It's got a lot of fur, and it keeps that particular cat warm in the cold winters where they live and where they're native to. The dry grasslands of Central Asia are very cold. They also have some really cute, short, rounded, low-set ears that are different from what you're used to seeing on domestic cats. And they have these stripes and fur that can actually blend into the background based on the season. So all of these things help them survive in the wild.
Okay, so let's talk about their conservation status here. Now there are about 58,000 mature Pallas cats distributed across their natural territory. That means where they normally live unless they're introduced to another place in the world or if they live in zoos. But if they're in the wild, then of course they live in near the Caspian Sea in southern Russia, near Mongolia. You get the idea. And 58,000 doesn't sound like a lot. And while these cats have not yet disappeared, even though it's true that they haven't gone extinct yet, their numbers are decreasing. So they aren't as numerous as they used to be, and there are various reasons for their decline.
Oh, that's too bad. So one reason for their numbers decreasing or going down or declining is there are some illegal hunters out there who are hunting the cats for their fur. Yeah, once people figure out how they can make money off something, you can be guaranteed people are going to go out and try to steal it, grab it, kill it, hunt for it, anything they need to do in order to sell it and make money. So sadly, I guess the Pallas cats have fur that people want. So they've got some illegal hunters out there trying to kill them and then take their fur in for sale. Another reason why their numbers are declining is that many countries' governments consider these pikas, however you want to say it, I think pika's cute, and rodents pests. Oh, they consider them to be pests and they poison them. We describe any sort of insect or animal that attacks our crops and our food or hurt the livestock that ranchers and farmers are raising, like cattle and sheep. If there's some sort of animal that's attacking these things, especially the farms and the crops that are being grown, we call them pests. A typical pest in my backyard growing up, we had a lot of fruit trees, and the pests were the birds that would come by and try to eat the apricots just as they were becoming ripe and juicy and wonderful. We also had foxes. Coyotes, actually, where I'm from, you can think of a fox, but coyotes would sometimes get into a yard and really do some damage. So those are the kind of animals that we might consider pests. Sometimes deer. If you live in an area that have a lot of wild deer, deer will come into your backyard if you don't have a fence and eat everything.
Ooh.
They're a mess. So
they are selfish and they don't understand the ecosystem at all. But of course here, the governments in some countries consider these animals like pikas and rodents, they're pests, and they poison them to kill them. And this leads to a lack of food for Pallas cats. So if governments poison all those animals, then the Pallas cats don't have anything to eat. And additionally, or also, moreover, their habitats are being threatened and destroyed by people adapting the land for farming and mining. Now, in this sentence, we have the word habitat, and that's just where an animal lives. It's the natural home, the natural environment for an animal. We could say the habitat for the Formosan black bear is the Central Mountain Range, if I'm not mistaken. They live in the high mountains there, Formosan black bears. That is their habitat where they live.
Yeah, and so they probably get used to the surroundings there. So if you are feeling like these cute Pallas' cats are being threatened, you could be right. They're being destroyed by people who are taking their natural or native land, their habitats, and adapting that land for other uses. For example, farming and mining. We know that mining's a big problem now because of all the solar panels and electric vehicles. We're finding out that we're really hurting the natural habitat in these areas by trying to mine some of the minerals and metals that we need. Now, if you adapt to something, you kind of change yourself in some way so that you're more comfortable or you fit in or you're more suitable for an area. I found out when I moved to Taiwan that I would need to adapt to some of the food here that is often served. I didn't like soy sauce when I first got to Taiwan.
Oh, no.
And now I love it. I'd like to drink bottles of it. Or garlic. You know, there's a lot of garlic in the food here, especially early in the morning. I thought, oh, wow, I can't take that smell. But I've adapted to it, and now I feel perfectly at home here. Well, animals like to keep their habitat as it was originally. They don't like the adaptations that people are making to their native habitats or lands by farming and mining.
Right, and again, adapting, you could also say to modify, to make certain changes so that it can deal with a new situation, like you're adapting to the food here in Taiwan. For me, it was adapting to the weather. It's much hotter here, much more humid than I'm used to. Indeed, and if people go from Taiwan to other parts of the world, they'll need to adapt as well. So here, of course, people are adapting the land for farming and mining. That happens all the time. You've got this natural habitat for wild animals.
Yeah.
And people say, well, we need some land so we can farm, so we can grow some crops. And we also want to dig into the ground looking for minerals like rare earths, you know, the stuff that goes into your electronics. So they build mines, and thus the cats here, these wild cats we're talking about, just don't have a place to live, and they have to scram. They have to beat it. They have to go someplace else to find some other animals to hunt and kill and survive, and it's getting more and more difficult for them.
It is. Many of the Pallas' cats are killed by domestic herding dogs. So if you are a rancher and maybe you're raising sheep, you'll have some dogs that you'll use to kind of guide the sheep to where you want them to go. They're kind of dumb animals, and so you have to have herding dogs, and usually ranchers on horses trying to herd these sheep to where they need to go to new areas where they can feed. And a lot of the Pallas' cats are killed by the dogs. You know, dogs aren't naturally friendly to cats. I know some households, you know, they have a dog and a cat living together. We never could get our dog and our cat to like each other. So, yeah, a lot of them are killed by the domestic herding dogs.
It kind of depends. Of course, sometimes dogs and cats get along.
Sometimes,
but,
yeah.
you know, these herding dogs may have been brought in from outside. And once they got the sheep all in one place, the dogs don't really have anything else to do. So they go off and look for things to hunt and kill. And a lot of times it just happens to be Pallas' cat.
Oh,
how pitiful. Now,
that's
here
terrible.
Indeed, it's very pitiful. 很可惜. And here in the last paragraph it says, conservation for Pallas' cats has increased in recent years. So conservation usually has to do with the natural environment. We've got forest rangers and we've got scientists who try to protect natural resources like forests and animals and stuff like that. So, of course, they're trying to protect Pallas' cats, and conservation efforts have increased in recent years.
However, it says governments and protection organizations must unite in their efforts to protect these endangered creatures. If you're uniting with somebody, you're joining forces so you can work together to maybe invent something, create something, or stop something from happening that you don't like in your neighborhood, but you want to unite or join together, join forces. You'll often hear those sorts of phrases used when people want to get together for some social purpose or political reason. They're going to unite in their efforts. So we hope that somehow the people that are trying to take care of these cats and conserve them for the future are successful because they're awfully cute.
Indeed, but I would not try to keep them as pets. It probably will not work out. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
而现在大概全世界有58000只的成年兔狲就分布在它们的自然领地上。不过我们看第二段的第一句还蛮重要的，因为 there 加上 be 动词之后，我们看到的补语是差不多有58000只 about 58,000 mature Pallas cats。后面的 distributed 一直到句尾其实可以左右括号，它是一个限定用法关系子句的简化，我们可以说它省略的是 which或者是 that 跟 be 动词。不过因为 there 加上 be 动词，接下来我们看到的补语之后通常都是加 ing 或者是 pp， 所以似乎就形成了一个句型，就是 there 加上 be 动词再加上补语之后出现 pp 或者是 ing， 也就是某个地方有什么人事物如何如何。好，那当然虽然现在这些的野生猫呢还没有完全的消失，可是数量其实持续的在减少。到底有什么样的原因呢？接下来第二段的第三句提到，其中一个原因就是因为兔狲的皮毛，大家很喜欢去非法的猎捕，就是为了要猎捕它们的这个皮毛呢而去杀死兔狲。那么另外一个原因是因为有许多国家的政府认为属兔和啮齿动物是有害的，就毒杀它们，也就是说兔狲缺乏食物的来源。不过我们在第二段第四句第四题的这个克漏字就要稍微注意一下了。如果我们上文也就是第三句没有特别提到有几个原因的话，那么其中一个原因叫做 one，接下来另外列举的第二个原因就会是 another， 因为我不确定在文章的前文并没有告诉我到底2个、3个、4个有几个，所以我不可能选 A， 也不可能选 B， 因为在列举当中，如果我看到定冠词 the， 就表示是剩下唯一一个，所以 A 的 the other 指的是剩下唯一一个，或者是 the other 再加上复数的名词，可以指的是剩下的全部，也就是跟 B 的答案相同。那既然前文没有告诉我到底有几个原因，我的逐一列举下来的第二个就会用 another。 至于第一选项的 other 呢，它是一个形容词，通常都会修饰复数的名词，表示其他的很多人事物，所以第四题答案要选 C。好，那么接下来呢，我们就看到还有其他的原因，另外就是因为栖息地遭到破坏啦，还有因为大家的把这个兔狲的栖息地拿来改造耕种并且采矿。另外还有一个比较特别原因，就是兔狲也会遭到当地牧羊犬猎杀，所以大家就会注意到这个问题。那么到文章最后就告诉我们，近几年来对兔狲的保育 conservation 当然是有一些成长，不过大家都应该要联合起来保护这样的动物。所以最后一题根据上下文，这个文意应该是濒临绝种、濒临灭绝的动物，答案选 C。 以上是我们今天的内容，我是安娜，我们下次见。
That is it for today's lesson, and make sure you join us next time for another interesting lesson and a way to improve your listening comprehension ability in English. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.